Hello and welcome along to Nostalgic Ape, the Nostalgic Future. Now what this is a monthly vlog type video, kind of catching up on the news and stuff that I'm interested in to, just get some more content on the channel. So the idea is every month we'll be following several news stories that are interesting. Some of these are more anecdotal, but most of them are news stories, such as, we're covering today the Open Goal Jack 2 April report. We are covering the PlayStation Showcase and news announcement, and we'll also be covering my thoughts on God of War just to initially 2018, just to get them out of the way, which isn't necessarily a news story, but there will be things like that. And as time goes on, there will be more things I'll gather up from my months on the internet, and we will cover them and just talk about that in a very candid way on the channel. And the idea when I say candid here is I just mean, there's a lot of discourse, a lot of controversy, that sort of thing, and I'd rather just, take a page of someone like Mystic Ryan's and Bandicoot's book, or Wheezy Wader's book, or something, some people like that, and just sort of, just kind of discuss them in a more candid fashion anyway. So yeah, that's what today's about. This is actually my second take of this video because of the autofocus that I'm using. It was pretty crap in the last one, so I'm just trying to get that as sorted as possible and ready to go. So it should be better. Probably won't be perfect this month, but we'll try to sort that out for the next one. So anyway, without further ado, this is Nostalgic Monthly 1, The Nostalgic Future, which is a pretty shit name, but I thought it was funny and punny, and yeah, you're gonna deal with a lot of that. So first off is my thoughts on God of War 2018. So I've been playing that recently. I don't play a lot of games, to be honest. I usually get a bit busy and a bit bogged down, but recently I finished Miles Morales, the Spider-Man game, and then I decided to jump back into 2018 God of War. I don't know if you're seeing a theme here, but it's to catch up on some last-gen games I have put down for whatever reason. 2018 God of War I put down in 2018. I don't know why, I was just very busy with this thing at work one time, and I was 6 hours into the game initially, and then I was just like, put it down. And then I think Dreams came out or something like that, so I put a lot of hours into Dreams, covering Dreams, doing community stuff with the Dreams, Vader and all that, and then yeah, eventually, it just sort of went to the wayside a bit. Anyway, I picked it up, playing it, got it on my 4K TV, it looks gorgeous. It is insane how it plays, playing it on my PS5 with the 60 FPS boost mode. It's amazing. It's an amazing game for sure. However, you're here for my take on it, I think, and that is a little unqualified. I didn't get around to finishing all the other God of War games that come before it, but I did play Ghost of Sparta and Chains of Olympus on the PSP, so I do know the formula and the gameplay type a little bit, but yeah, it's definitely different. It's no longer a hack and slash third person over the view, over the bird's eye view sort of game. It is now a over the shoulder action adventure RPG element induced sort of game. Last of Us in story scope, but also I want to say like Dark Souls, Demon Souls-esque in like combat. It's very light though. It's more like I don't know if I'm qualified to say that. When it comes to genres, it's also bogged together and confusing for me, but it feels like it's taken a page out of some Demon Souls book or something like that, with the targeting and the sort of the strategic elements to throwing your axe at the enemy and kind of pulling it back, or getting your to shoot as errors at the enemies at this particular point and stuff like that. So, but then there's the RPG side of it, which is like all the upgrades, the elements in the shop, basically, and the things that you buy. Very interesting for sure. I am level 5 at the moment, and it's been fun. It's quite addictive, it's simplistic in its implementation, and it's quite addictive to just upgrade everything to your best possible thing. I'm also a little lazy though, so I don't spend too much time, going in and exploring what the best thing is, but there is no auto-equip best option like in a lot of RPGs, so I don't usually I fall to that kind of player group where I just click that button. I can't do that in this game, so it is definitely a nice middle ground where I am actually exploring the options and purposely crafting my upgrades and things like that. So it's pretty cool. For the story, I've really enjoyed it. It's been very cool to watch the relationship between Atreus and Kratos grow. That's obviously the main arc of the plot. Going to a mountain that your deceased late wife and son's mother wanted you to go to and take your ashes there, and that's a pretty cool plot. But on top of that, you go through this big adventure of this new mythology. Kratos is an unwanted guest, unwanted god, in this Norse mythology adventure, and Thor's brother, Tyr, I think it is. I could be wrong in that. It's not Tyr, sorry. His other brother is after you, and it's unknown as to why, and then it kind of unfolds, and yeah, it's a great thing. I'm currently towards the end. I think I'm 22 hours in, and I am currently like exploring the World Serpent because the World Serpent swallowed a key that I need. Yeah, it's interesting. I love the boat gameplay. I love the combat. I love the narrative of it. Murmur's a great character. The hit that you take, you decapitate Murmur, this god who is all-knowing god and is imprisoned by Odin, and he wants you to cut off his head, and you resurrect him, and he follows you, and he's just a great character. Some of the gods in this is they're just way more fleshed out than I remember original God of War games. Although I am talking about just the Ready Dawn ones here, but you got Freya's character is really, really great. And really, it's like a big part of the plot too. It turns out, all of Thor's brothers, the dwarves even, their little story arc's really cool. Yeah, I don't know, it's just a really great game. I think I've talked about it enough though, so I'm going to move on to the next news story, which is actually a news story, is the Jak 2 April Open Goal report. Now what this is Open Goal is an open source decompilation of the Jak and Daxter games, of the Goal engine created by Naughty Dog for the Jak and Daxter games. They have basically decompiled all of Jak 1 at this point, and there's a lot of mods to be found if you just YouTube, Open Goal, and you'll find all this stuff for it. But Jak 2 is basically playable at this point without cheats, so like you can basically just play the whole game straight through, and me, I love my Jak and Daxter. You'll see this channel is basically just set at this point, working on that, but yeah, anyways, so... yeah, so that's pretty cool to see. We're just going to go through the report here. I did film this in the last one, so I'm just going to keep that from the last take, just keep that and go into that one. So as we can see here, the decompilation progress report of Jak 2. This is the line count progress chart of, I believe this is just Jak 2. As of today, we have 603,928 lines of code completed, and if we look at where we got to this crazy benchmark here, this was December 2022 at 406,828. So yeah, we've made a lot of progress over the year, as you can already tell, only 3. Yeah, it's currently May. It is currently May 8th, and this is the April progress report. This is everything you need to download and start playing Jak 2 with a copy of your game. So yeah, that's another thing to remember is you can actually to play this you need a copy of your game. This is completely legal in terms of the sense you just put your disc in and it'll decompile it and play it natively on your PC computer. So yeah, so couple of Jak 1 things, some transparency things in the Sculptor's Mask, and fixed debug mode, booting, stuff like that. Code base cleanup, and they're doing some stuff interesting here. They're doing this because of Jak 2, I think. So when I read this earlier, this is in the early days of Jak 1, they made some placeholder methods, but in hindsight, it was not good at naming scheme and stuff. So they're cleaning some stuff up for Jak 2, and basically, in short, it should have some improvements other than Jak 2 is how I understand it. But yeah, some things that Jak 2 notices: the big map. One of the significant features that wasn't working was the map from the progress menu. Neither the icons nor the progress menu would render, but now that's been fixed and we should be able to get the map to work soon. So now we've got to this point where the map will actually display this instead of nothing. So all we need to do now, all they need to do now, I think, is plug in the actual map files. I think they're just SRT files or something like that. I can't remember now, but yeah, some sort of file, and it'll read that. The guards used to disappear every now and then, but or flicker as you travel throughout the city, but this is hopefully been solved. But the nature of these bugs, it's hard to know, so it's early days. But yeah, citizens used to just disappear when they got to the border of the nav mesh. I'm not too sure what that is, sorry, but yeah, again, these are layman's terms here. But yeah, but now they don't, is what I'm thinking here. The way this is set up, that's what I think this means, but I'm not 100%, so you can correct me if I'm wrong and you know better than me in the comments, I guess. For the longest time, it was possible to continue to hit enemies after they died. This turned out to be a decompilation mistake. Some text files had missing strings, but that's been fixed now. Renderer fixes. Oh yeah, so the mirror and the hitbob and the warp gates used to have effects that were missing, but now they have been fixed by what I can tell, and that fixes things like the mirror, the warp gate, core on the scene still looks a little bit funky, but you know. Shadow renderer's been modified a little bit to get close to being ready. It pops in and out a little bit, as you can see here, but yeah, it's a lot of progress has been made. Like as you can see here, the HUD wasn't actually fully rendering before this, but now the Precursor model is. But they do a little bit to get the Metalhead Gem one to work. But yeah, optional hacks have been added for airlocks and elevators to move 50% faster. Now this is something I asked back when I had Twitter back in the day. Terrible thing, but back when I had it, I actually used to talk a little bit to Venice Beach Gandalf, who works between Sony and Naughty Dog, I believe. And this is one of the requests I asked if they could get this to be added into the PS5 version, because we've got the SSD now, and obviously when you play the PS5 version of the game, there's an unlimited, it doesn't limit how fast it can save and load the game. It just loads instantly. But when you get to doors and elevators, they're still locked behind the speed that was set in the game. But yeah, optional hacks have been added so they load faster. This would be amazing in the PS5 emulation. Just a little tidbit, like it's fine. It doesn't take too long, but it's just something that could be possible now, and some side missions no longer crash. Oh yeah, this is an interesting thing. Something that Naughty Dog used to do back in the day, apparently. Use the PS1's input-output processor, which is the main PS1's processor, cleverly reused for DVD stuff and some sort of Jack 2 cutscenes things, and now we have full cutscene audio lines in OpenGL, which is something we didn't have before. Aspect ratio has been fixed for the minimap, which apparently wasn't even fixed, was an issue that was in the original game, but now it's when set to 16:9, which is the default ratio nowadays. Yeah, so there's a few things, but yeah, it's an insane amount of progress. Next month, assuming by this rate, we could actually have a fully playable version of Jak 2 where you could play the game start to finish without cheats, as I was saying before. Pretty impressive stuff. If I do say so myself, I'm not on the team or anything, so I'm going through this completely in terms of layman's terms, you know what I mean? But yeah, very excited to see what happens here. I had a lot of fun times with the modifications people have made in the community for Jak 1, and it's just only going to get better from here, so it's very awesome to see this sort of love put into the games 20 years later by the Jak community. We'll just move on to the last news story then, which is the PlayStation Showcase announcement. So when I originally recorded this a couple of weeks ago, it wasn't announced, but it is now announced for the Friday the 26th my time, which I believe is the 25th for the Americans. Yeah, so at Friday the 26th at 8 AM in New Zealand time, and it is going to run for a little over an hour, showcasing PS5 and PSVR 2 announcements, new IP, and others, and indie as well. So definitely an interesting time for sure. I've thought out a few predictions myself, and I do think we're going to see that Bloodborne remaster announcement by Bluepoint Games, and maybe a Bloodborne sequel. I think they are working on some new IP, or IP extension rather, of old IP. So they're working on a new entry and an old IP, I do think we're going to see an Uncharted spin-off or Uncharted 5 announcement with that studio that's working alongside Naughty Dog, that new one that they made. I do think we're going to see a new Guerrilla game announcement. I don't think it's going to be Killzone. A lot of people have said that. I don't see it. I think they are moving on to something new. That and or their Horizon live service game, I guess. I don't know if we're going to see that. It might be a bit early, but the leak seemed earlier than an earlier build than they're actually up to now, so it could be an announcement. We're going to see Part 2 factions, Last of Us Part 2 factions for sure. Whether or not we get a beta release date or something will be another story, but it'll be interesting to see that for sure. I think we're going to see Naughty Dog announce the next game. I know it's a bit early, but I think, it's just... I know Sony's changed up how they do things lately and they don't show things so far out, but I mean, if they're willing to show Wolverine, which I don't think is going to be in this showcase, I think they're going to be willing to have that wow factor and show that next game, whether that be Part 3. I think it's a new IP personally. I don't know what it is, but what I'm more interested in personally is what the ICE team are working on, because I believe they're working on the whole... Is it the ICE team? I think there's 3 projects going on at Naughty Dog. Correct me if I'm wrong, but in layman's terms, I think there's factions and there is a new IP, and then I think the ICE team who did the programming for most of the technical stuff working on their own little game, is that right? And so, love to see what that little game is. I would love to see more smaller projects from Naughty Dog. I know that sounds weird, but I haven't actually got around to Lost Legacy yet, but seeing more quicker turnaround from Naughty Dog just in a smaller game, while they still have the capacity to make their bigger games, be cool to see. Game development's getting way bigger now, and it takes 5+ years for new games usually, so it'd just be cool to see that. What that is, I don't know. I personally, me again, hoping for that Jack announcement, but I doubt it. Although it is an interesting segue that the Game Awards that are running the Summer Games Fest and have PlayStation showing up did have this tweet yesterday showcasing Ape Escape, Sly Cooper, Jake and Daxter, and PaRappa the Rapper, which are 4 PlayStation IP that are classic IP at this point. They haven't been touched in over 10 years. Some of them more, most of them more, but Sly Cooper 10 years. It's an interesting thing for sure. They said, which one of these IP do you want to come back? And they got a showcase coming up right after PlayStation 1's next week, and it's a bit weird. I mean, I don't know. No one seems to really be taking to it. I'm not sure if they do this. I'm not really on Twitter nowadays, but when I go back and look at what they've tweeted before other showcases, I couldn't find anything that suggests they just do this and don't announce anything. As far as I remember, they did this with the Crash games before they were announced, like CTR in there, and then they, if it is these 4 IP, they're all great 4 IP that I'd love to see come back. So I'm actually in a scenario where I don't care which one it is. It would be great to see any of those. I think personally, out of all 4 of those, Ape Escape's the only one that's hot right now, the one that's getting the most attention. I don't know if that accounts for anything, but that would be my guess. Jack seems like the obvious choice if you were going to get a team to remake the games from the ground up, although they are pretty technically insane, so maybe not. I don't know, it's an interesting one. Sly has that unfinished cliffhanger, but it doesn't seem like it has the popularity to carry through. But then you got the movie announcement, right? You got the Jack movie, and if we get an announcement for the movies, which they didn't say they're going to put into this showcase, it's unknown what they're doing lately. No one expected that Sackboy game to come out. That was completely unleaked and completely hidden. So it's just an interesting time for Sony. It's a lot of unknowns, and they're doing a lot of different things, a lot of different areas. They've got their live service, their single player, the AAA, but they also seem to be doing this AA thing a little bit lately, like Kena and Sackboy, and I don't know. Maybe I don't know. It's an interesting time for sure. I think we're gonna see Insomniac's Spider-Man 2, of course. I don't think we'll see Wolverine. I think I touched on that already. I think we'll see the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake announcement and the Konami stuff that they're partnering with, the Silent Hill stuff. I think they'll be the big part of the show that everyone will be excited for. I'm tried them. I'll give them a shot, I guess, but again, I'm so behind in previous generation IP. I don't know how quickly that'll be, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see that for sure. Other than that, though, there's just so many unknowns. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I'm hoping that I mean, I think it makes sense marketing-wise. Everyone else on the internet's covered this better than I can, so I'll leave it. But yeah, it makes sense. That it's just unknown, you know. Love to see that though. Big fan of those games. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of unknowns going in. I'm going to be making a little like video afterwards, just covering what I think of it, because it's going to be a big one. It's that second half of the generation sort of showcase. What are we doing for the rest of the generation, basically, and just before the end of it. So, you know, there's a lot of unknowns. There'll be a lot of cool stuff coming out of it for sure. It's going to be that big showcase, just kind of covering the next couple of years in the ecosystem. Plus, also, this is a really good chance for them to showcase what the PS5 exclusives have to offer, right? Like, what the power of PS5 actually can exclusively offer to some of these games. And we've already heard that Spider-Man 2 is going to be insane. Love to see it, you know. But, you know, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart already showed us this, you know. We've seen what it can do, how insane these next level games are, and I think it will just be insane to see what that looks like, so going forward. Anyway, that's pretty much it for me for this month. We'll see you in the next one. Obviously, you know, it's posting this like the 25th, so month to month it will look like that. It won't be exactly month to month, it'll be more like a 25th thing. Bit of housekeeping, we've got a few things coming up on the channel. We're going to do a retrospective look at, not retrospective, my thoughts on Tales of Arise and my thoughts on Judgment and Lost Judgment. Just a really simple 10 or so minute video covering my thoughts on recent games that I played. And those are separate videos, but it'll be, you know, just a chance for me to say, you know, this is what I liked about this, and this is what I didn't like about this, and it's not really a review. I don't feel qualified to give those out at this stage, so it's just you know, my honest opinions and thoughts on it. And other than that, I have a PS Plus video coming up where I tried to get through my PS Plus catalog. It did not work out very well, but I did happen to go to on a holiday during that trip, and PS Vita was part of that thing. So, yeah, I went on a holiday to LA and Mexico, and during that trip, and I did get to visit the Naughty Dog building, just the outside of it, the exterior, but yeah, that's in the video, so it'll be exciting to showcase. Yeah, but other than that, that's all from me at this stage. I want to get more into the live streaming stuff, again, like finish off that Jack Deathless run, but also I want to get into Final Fantasy VII with mods, voice-acted mods and stuff. I want to do a whole 7 compilation run before Rebirth comes out. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. Those are my plans at the moment. See you around in the next one.